The main character, a man in his late 30s named Kale, wakes up in a dry, cracked land. The glaring sun beats down mercilessly. Dawn brings no hope, only a grim reminder of a harsh reality. Every breath is a struggle against the scorching air, and with each passing second, the desert tightens its grip. Kale sits up, his body aching. He grabs the canteen beside him, shakes it lightly, and despairs when he hears it's empty. The last drop of water ran out yesterday. Now, hope is as barren as the land itself. Thirst is a tangible enemy, clawing at his throat. He pulls out an old, crumpled map. A strong gust of wind almost blows it away. He uses a rock to hold it down, squinting towards the distant horizon. The map, a relic of a past world, is now just faded lines. But it's the only thing that holds his direction, a fragile promise of a place that isn't here.
The sun says east. No, we have to go south. We have to.
Kale decides on a direction, puts the map away, and starts walking. His steps are heavy and staggering on the scorching ground. Every step is a gamble with death. The body screams for water, but the will forces it forward, chasing a mirage of life. He reaches a dried-up riverbed. Bleached fish skeletons and cracked shells are scattered about, tragic evidence of life that once existed. This place was once an artery of life, now it is just a scar on the earth. The bountiful past makes the present even more brutal. Exhausted, Kale collapses against a rock. He looks at his own hands, the skin dry and peeling. A sense of hopelessness washes over him. The human body is as fragile as the surrounding landscape. Without water, it begins to dry out, to crack, and to slowly return to dust. As night begins to fall and the temperature drops, Kale notices a leaf on a stunted bush. Tiny droplets of dew begin to condense on its surface. An idea sparks. In the darkest moment, nature reveals a secret. Life, no matter how fragile, always finds a way. And in a single drop of dew, Kale doesn't just see water, he sees hope. A sudden burst of energy returns. Kale begins to move with purpose, gathering anything that might be useful, a torn piece of plastic sheeting from his ruined backpack, a metal cup, and rocks. The will to survive is a powerful fuel. From the brink of despair, a clear goal can ignite a fire, turning exhaustion into action. Kale digs a small hole in the sand, placing the cup in the middle. He covers the hole's opening with the plastic sheet and uses rocks to secure the edges. Finally, he places a small stone in the center of the plastic, right above the cup, to create a dip. This is one of the oldest survival techniques, a solar still. A simple device, born from refuse and rock, yet it holds the key to life. Basic science becomes a miracle. Under the moonlight, Kale watches. A drop of water condenses on the underside of the plastic, glistens, then slowly rolls towards the dip and falls into the cup with a tiny clink. One drop, then another. In the silence of the desert, it is the sweetest sound in the world. It is not just water. It is a promise, a confirmation that this fight is not yet over. The next morning, Kale carefully lifts the plastic sheet. Inside the cup, a small but precious amount of water has collected. He raises the cup to his lips and drinks, in tiny sips, feeling the cool liquid soak into his withered body. It is not just water. It is the fruit of intellect, patience, and an unyielding will. Each drop is a victory, an affirmation that humanity, even at its most solitary, can still master. The small amount of water only helps Kale hold on. Hunger begins to gnaw. He flips over rocks, searches through dry bushes, hunting for anything edible, insects. Water brings life, but energy sustains it. The struggle for survival has no room for pickiness. Primal instinct awakens, forcing him to see the world through a different lens. Everything is either prey or predator. He stares at the struggling beetle in his palm. After a moment of hesitation, he closes his eyes and eats it. His face contorts in disgust, but he swallows it down. This is the final boundary of civilization breaking down. Disgust is overcome by the need to live. He is no longer a man of the city, of society. He is a creature of the desert. While foraging, Kale suddenly freezes. On the ground are not animal tracks, but the print of a boot, almost identical to his own. He is not alone. The discovery brings a wave of conflicting emotions. Hope for companionship, and fear of a competitor. In this world, another person does not mean a friend. It could be a threat greater than the desert itself. He follows the tracks cautiously. They lead him to a makeshift shelter under a rock outcropping, the remains of a dead fire, a few discarded personal items, and signs of a struggle in the sand. This was not a peaceful resting place. It tells a story of violence. The hope for a companion vanishes, replaced by a tangible and dangerous threat. As night falls, Kale does not sleep. He sits in the darkness, his back to a rock, listening. Every gust of wind, every rustle of sand makes him jump. The feeling of being watched grows stronger. The desert at night is no longer a place of rest. It has become a theater of suspense. The greatest enemy is no longer thirst, but an unseen phantom lurking somewhere in the darkness. From the shadows, a figure lunges. Another survivor, thin, wild, and desperate. He says nothing, only snarls, his eyes fixed on Kale's backpack. The inevitable confrontation has arrived. This is not a meeting between two people, but between two cornered animals, fighting for the same scarce resources. A tense standoff. Kale raises his sharp rock, a defensive gesture. The stranger raises his own makeshift weapon, a sharp piece of metal. They circle each other, sizing up the opponent. There are no words, only body language. A dance of death, where every movement, every glance, is a calculation of risk and opportunity. Who will blink first? The fight breaks out. It is not pretty, not technical. It is a dirty, desperate brawl. They roll on the ground, scratching, biting, punching, each trying to gain the slightest advantage to survive. This is the essence of life stripped bare, a brutal, lawless fight. The stronger, or perhaps, the more desperate, will win. Kale uses all his strength, shoves the attacker away, and hits him hard on the shoulder with the rock. The stranger screams in pain, drops his weapon, and flees into the darkness. Kale gets up, panting, a deep gash bleeding on his arm. He has won, but at a cost. The victory is bittersweet. He has protected his resources, but now he is wounded and weakened. The fight didn't just take his strength, it took a piece of his humanity. Kale tears a strip of cloth from his shirt and wraps it tightly around the wound to stop the bleeding. The pain is sharp, but he grits his teeth and endures it. He knows he cannot stop. Pain is a cruel companion. It is a constant reminder of the body's fragility, and of the price of survival. But it is also a motivator, pushing him to find a safe haven quickly. He begins his journey again, but now every step is torture. The wound, the blood loss, and the thirst make him start to hallucinate. The desert dances before his eyes, and ghosts from his past whisper in his ears. When the body fails, the mind begins to crumble. The line between reality and illusion blurs. The fight for survival is now waged not just in the desert, but within his own mind. Amidst a sea of sand and rock, Kale sees it. Something he hasn't seen in days. A patch of green, a small bush, miraculously alive. Hope flares. Green, the color of life. In a world of brown and yellow, it is an unmistakable signal. Where there is vegetation, there must be water. As he gets closer, he realizes the bush is growing on the edge of something he couldn't see from afar, a deep, hidden canyon, sliced into the earth. The map did not lie. The desert hides its secrets well. A crack in the earth, invisible from a distance, can be an oasis of life. Hope was not a mirage, it was merely hidden. The only way is down. He begins a perilous descent down the steep cliff face. The wound on his arm makes every handhold an agony. This is the final test. A fight against gravity, against pain and exhaustion. The desert does not give up its prey easily. Halfway down, he stops to rest. In the silence, he hears it. A sound he had almost forgotten. A trickle, the sound of running water. It is the sweetest music. A promise whispered from the heart of the earth. It is no longer hope, it is a reality, waiting for him at the bottom. Driven by that sound, Kale recklessly climbs the final few meters. He lands on the canyon floor. Following the sound, he moves past boulders and finds it, a small, clear stream of water seeping from a crack in the rock, collecting in a small pool. The destination, not a mighty river, not a vast lake, just a tiny stream, but in his world, it is an entire ocean. It is life. Driven by that sound, Kale recklessly climbs the final few meters. He lands on the canyon floor. Following the sound, he moves past boulders and finds it, a small, clear stream of water seeping from a crack in the rock, collecting in a small pool. The destination, not a mighty river, not a vast lake, just a tiny stream, but in his world, it is an entire ocean. It is life. After drinking his fill, Kale looks down at the still water. He sees his reflection, a gaunt, bearded man with wild eyes. But they are the eyes of a survivor. The face in the water is no longer the man who began this journey. Innocence is lost, weakness has been burned away. In its place is a strength forged in adversity, a hardness etched by the desert. The sun sets, painting the canyon rim with streaks of orange and purple. Kale sits with his back against a rock beside the water, no longer afraid, only at peace. He has found the last water source. He has survived. The battle is over, at least for today. Tomorrow, a new fight may begin. But for now, in this quiet oasis, there is only life and gratitude. He faced the end of the world and found himself there.